Thank you everyone for coming today. This is our little pride and joy, is our flax industry that we're trying to get up here in the Great Southern. We started I think I started when I first came in. I identified flax as one of the things that we could do in a cropping rotation. There's a whole pile of things that we need to be doing, I suppose, as farmers, and that is getting as many rotations in there as possible so that we can have disease resistance and just make sure that our soils are healthy as we're going along. And I found that the flax industry was here, well, all around the Great Southern and Southwest. It was actually there till 1965, believe it or not, for fibre. There's even a mill over in Boyup Brook that used to actually mill it all. And of course, then nothing happened for a while because that whole market dropped out just simply because of labour costs. And in 2017, when I started looking at that, I thought, God, we can grow that. What can we do with that? And it's a functional food, perfect for the functional food market. And everyone here, I suppose, who's been going on Tasha's tour would know that functional food market is going up like this in the world. So if we can produce functional food here and sell it and put it through the entire supply chain, without actually going through and just sending it off as commodity, we can actually retain some more money back for the farmers. And the whole idea of doing these kinds of crop is to give back more money to the farmers, making sure that they've got that in their pocket and they keep it there. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We've got a few people that are going to be coming to talk. First of all, we've got our project officers, Mel and Sheridan, who have we've got sites all over the place. So they're going to talk about that. Then we're going to go on to Kent Stone, who is the agronomist on our project. And after that, we're going to hear from the farmer from here, Pete Cummings. And then I'm going to close with what we're going to be doing after we've grown it all, how we're going to get there. All right? So I'd like to start by bringing up Mel and Sheridan.
I'm Mel, I'm a project officer with Southern Dirt. This is our GRDC invested linseed trial. The aim of this project is to increase grower awareness of linseed as a viable break crop, increase knowledge of the benefits of linseed, and to further develop agronomic guidelines for the successful production of linseed under our dryland farming conditions here in the Great Southern region of WA. The objectives are to expand on the learnings from last year's small plot trials, to gain further growing experience on a paddock scale, and to develop better understanding of the agronomic requirements to maximise yields. And we're also going to demonstrate the various benefits of growing linseed to our growers. We have 4 sites. One is for a different project, and that is the supply chain work. That is Lindley Anderson's Kojonup site. We have a site out at Darkin, that's Ray Harrington's, and we have a site at Kenmare, that's Evan Hall's, and the site here today is Peter Cummings' site. And I'll pass you on to Sheridan for more information on this site.
So just going to talk about some results we found with this trial. So at the moment, this trial was seeded on the 16th of May, so it's currently 75 days since seeding. We are on a brown loamy type soil, and as you go up the hill, it turns into a sandy gravel. So with the rainfall, we've had about 118 mils approximately within the growing season, and about 180 throughout the whole year. We had a few assessments throughout the year, so what we've done is predicted B analysis, NDVI readings and plant counts. The predicted B came back with high risk of charcoal rot and black spot. However, we haven't seen any of those diseases come out in the linseed, and we manage our diseases throughout the year, so we're constantly checking on them. With the plant counts, both linseed varieties are quite on par with the recommended of 300 plants per square metre. So we had the Bilton with an average of 301 and the Croxon with an average of 300. And then our canola doing quite well as the comparison break crop with an average of 76, with the recommendation being about 30 to 40 plants per square metre. With our NDVIs, which is a vegetation index, we had the Bilton with a 0.4 index, the Croxon with 0.42 and the canola with 0.45. So those quite high numbers really show that there's some healthy vegetation happening out here. And overall, for the future of this trial, what we're going to do is we'll be completing the assessments again, except the Predictor B, when the growth of the crop is at growth stage 6. So when the flax starts to form some buds, and then we'll do the set of statistics again. And obviously, like with those results I've just said, there's no real different statistics with the different varieties, comparing the Bilton and the Croxton.
And we will also do a financial analysis comparing the canola with the linseed, and we'll of course be closely monitoring for weeds, pests and diseases throughout the season. Thank you.
Hi everyone. This is the first I've seen of flax myself, so I'm learning as everyone else is. Excuse me for looking at my phone. I've just made a few notes on the basic agronomic characteristics of flax. So we had a bit of a chat earlier on before the main group arrived, but it's got a shallow root system, so we don't think it'll be that good for any summer type cropping, or might pinch off in the tight season. Prefers medium to heavy soils, and looks to be best on cereal or legume stubbles. Canola stubbles are problematic from what we understand. Nutrition wise, it's elsewhere in the world it's said to be a low input crop. However, I think here we probably need to do the trial work to establish what it actually needs, given our infertile soils. So that's probably an area for work in the future that Southern Dirt will get to. It's not very competitive, so you can see the crop there where it's sown quite thick. It's not bad, but it comes up pretty small and takes a bit to get going. However, it's from a herbicide point of view, you've almost got the best of both worlds, because you've got your full suite of grass selectives that you can use in a broadleaf crop, and you've also got the full suite of almost broadleaf herbicides that you can use in a cereal crop. So it kind of ticks all the boxes there. So I think the main thing is just getting the herbicides on early, before the crop gets to a sensitive stage. So this crop now is getting closer to that reproductive stage, and herbicide wise probably couldn't put much more on it now. So that crop there, which you'll get a look at in a minute, it's only had an application of verdict post-emergent. So you'll see the volunteer cereals and wild oats and whatever else there is, except for ryegrass. Like the grasses are pretty well controlled, and the geranium. But there's a bit of ryegrass there, and a bit of capeweed that probably could have been controlled earlier, but it's pretty clean considering. I think a lot of what I've read about it is highlights the importance of integrated weed management. Making sure you've got it on a stubble that was clean last year, so not fighting too many weeds, and then making sure you establish a competitive crop. So get the nutrition right, get the seeding rate right. What I mentioned about the herbicides, having lots of options for herbicides in the crop, I guess the downside of that is having limited options for controlling volunteers. So I think high rates of phenoxy herbicides, such as 2,4-D ester, are pretty useful on it. And glyphosate. But you've probably got limited volunteer control options. So I guess following your flax crop, you probably want to make sure you've got a good knockdown going into your cereal the following year. Disease-wise, it's a lot of diseases similar to crops we deal with already, such as rust and fusarium, which is like a rot, which was destroyed one of the earlier varieties, Glenelg. And then there's powdery mildew, sclerotinia, so like a lot of stuff we're used to, but being limited flax growing, it should be pretty right for diseases until, yeah, if we started growing it over a bigger area, it'd become a bigger issue. Yeah, insect-wise, I think the main insect on the lookout in this at the moment is budworm. There's also a disease that can be transmitted by a leaf hopper, but I don't think that's around a problem here.
Heliothis is bad.
Yeah, that's budworm. Yep. So so it's really just watching that seed production timing. And then I don't know, did you guys want me to touch on your trials you did last year, like the results of that? I've got
Yeah, go
just
for it.
that my 4 take-home points out of that was that Glenelg was the highest yielding, but that's susceptible to the fusarium. So that's destroyed that variety. Against Croxton, which is in this trial here, but then it looks like Bilton, is it? The other variety is high yielding again, so it'll be good to see how it goes this year. And then earlier sowing was high yielding, then later sowing. The seeding rates didn't really matter. They did 35 to 45 kilos a hectare last year, and there's no significant difference in that. And then nitrogen was variable across the site, so 40 to 120 units of N, and that was variable across the different sites. And that last year it yielded 0.56 to 0.99 across all the sites. Yeah. Did anyone want to ask questions now about agronomy or anything, or do we want to?
No questions?
What is the most labour-intensive part of growing?
Labour intensity.
Labour-intensive part.
I'm not sure. From what I can understand, it's pretty straightforward. Like every other broadacre crop, you'd seed it, you'd spray it, fertilise it, harvest it. I understand harvesting it with a conventional header.
Yep.
I guess if you went down that fibre path, that's probably where the labour intensity would come into it.
Have you found your wheat or barley crops following the flax is pretty good? Or is it too early?
We've only
Too
done
early.
it for this is only the
So last year was the first trial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you'd assume it'd be pretty high yielding, I guess, following it.
So we get this. So you ask about whether the crop's following a high yielding. In trials across Europe and everywhere else, it's shown that it's actually had a huge increase with the crop for next year. And I think that's part of that cropping rotation stuff.
Yeah, and I think they're being shallow rooted, like in Canada, a fair bit of what I read about over there. Being shallow rooted, it leaves a fair bit of moisture underneath for the following crop. So I think you've probably got your soil biology break as well as moisture being left in the profile for following years.
So what's, maybe for you Tracy, what's different with each row? So as part of the trial, the structure of the trial, what are the...
So we'll get the girls to hand out the papers which shows what the trials actually are. But what we're doing is comparisons, Phil. So we're taking a variety called Bilton, which is coming from Tasmania. And we've got one called Croxton, which we used last year, which is we haven't got very many varieties in Australia at the moment. And that's one of the challenges you've got when you're trying to actually scale up an industry, is finding the right one for your area. But this one's come from Tasmania. It's supposed to yield up to 1.6 tonne, which makes it actually a very good commodity product for us then. So we would have the option of either going commodity or straight to package into the food market.
Well, on that, Tracy, where are the markets?
Yeah, markets.
Yeah. And is that
Worldwide,
oil-
oil is the most significant market for it. The difficulties with the oil is it goes rancid very, very quickly, which means that you have to actually make sure it's bottled or put into cold storage. It's just like your olive oils, I suppose.
Is the processing facility in Boyup still going, or is that...
No, that's a fibre one.
There's nothing...
No,
for
nothing
oil?
there.
Yeah.
We've been working with Coconut Oils, and they've said that they'll put a cold press in for us. All right, so that's one option. But I've also come across a machine in South Africa that it's it's wonderful to bring it, if we could bring it in here. And what it does is it takes every part of the seed down to a cellular level, comes out as a paste, and the oil sits on top. And it's like you get a cold press oil right across the entire spectrum. So when you cold press oil, you usually have your first cut, that's your virgin, then you've got your second cut, which is your biggest lot of your oil, and then your third cut, which is sort of like just the end tailing bits for all your nutrition. So if you can get it so it goes across and take the oil off, that's your ideal. Whether or not we can get it, that's the other problem, you know, and it's money.
So looking at processing for the fibre and the oil.
The other thing, no, we wouldn't be doing fibre. Fibre actually, once it's, at the moment the sheep can't graze it because it's got arsenic in it and it will kill them. But after it goes down in levels over time, and as soon as it starts wilting off and it goes down to that seed stage where you can get it, you take the seed off and then you leave the stubble and it's nutrition for grazing your sheep. So it's really, really good.
Grazing trials. Not
Grazing trial, yeah. Yep, grazing is fine as soon as you've taken off that flour, basically. Yep. Other questions on that? Okay, Pete. Now, Pete's our farmer.
Yeah, I just, for those interested, it was sown on the 15th of May, like 16th of May, that Sheridan said. It was sown with MOP blend, giving at about 100 kilos, giving about 28 units of nitrogen and 18 of phosphorus and 15 of potassium. That was including the 50 litres of Flax and put down with it. It was top dressed with 80 kilos of urea on the 17th of July, and the verdict was sprayed on the 18th of July. Or maybe, yeah, I can't remember. I can't recall them being that close together, but anyway. And that's all I had really. I'm happy to answer questions, so please give me some questions if you like.
Was there something going on with the cedar? Like, was there? Sorry, I just may as well point it out now.
Yeah, there absolutely was, and I'm really humbled because of the unprofessionalism of it. But the way, I can't exactly remember. What was sown first? Was it
The canola.
Canola, then
Yeah,
Croxton,
canola.
then Bilton.
Bilton? For some reason, the canola went out even, and the Bilton went out even. But in between, the Croxton, for some reason, the two rollers in the middle of the distribution part of the air seeder, it was going out thicker. So you've got like, out of 50, there's probably 75 in the middle, and about 25 on either side, roughly. But everything else is sown at 50 kilos. The canola is sown at 3 kilos, I think. And it's Bonito canola, as far as I remember.
That's pretty interesting to look at, like how it acts with different.
Yeah.
Like on the edges, it's quite branchy, the
Yeah.
flax, and
Yep.
then in the middle, it's so like it's
So well done.
you learn something.
That's right. It's a good learning thing when we have mistakes. And I've worked out why the air seeder was playing up. There was an air gallery which was blocked up with stuff. Apart from that, not really else what to say.
Okay.
It should have had a broadleaf. No, the grass selective should have been put on about 10 days or a week earlier than it was, and the broadleaf wasn't done. Please don't walk up to the top of the hill because it looks very, very bad. There's big K weeds like that. But,
What was sown here last year, Pete?
this was pasture here, like a run-of-the-mill pasture for our area. A bit of clover, a bit of ryegrass, barley grass, and this little triangle here used to be part of this laneway, so there was a lot of geranium there. I think that seems to get ahead when it's not stocked much and compaction and whatnot. Over there was barley stubble, and yeah, that's it really.
Yeah. Weather-wise this year as opposed to last year.
Oh yeah, so
It's rained.
last year we had a break about 2 weeks later. So this was sown on 16th. We had a bit of moisture there in the soil, but not enough to germinate it. And then a few days later we had about 20 mils or so it germinated after that. Last year we didn't get sort of opening rains until into June, like first week of June, so it's about 2 weeks ahead of where, or maybe 3, where it was last year. For June we got over 100 mils last year. This year we got about 45, I think. sound right?
Yeah.
I was looking at it this morning, I can't really remember.
150.
Yeah, so what,
Yeah.
I was looking at it this morning, I can't really remember.
150.
Yeah, so what, same with Ford at Tracy, we're getting just what we need at the moment. Yeah, things are looking pretty good. Nowhere that normally gets boggy is anywhere close to being boggy, so we just need to keep that rain coming on.
Yeah, so anyone got any rain ag tech instruments, please. Any questions? Any other questions?
I'm probably coming in a bit ignorant, but
That's all right, yeah.
and you're obviously quite early into your trials. But what are some of the key potential competitive advantages of including this in your program that you're looking for?
Yeah, good question. Well, I was hoping it'd be a lower input alternative, and hopefully the insects don't like it as much, because I don't normally grow canola, but from the experience that I've had years ago growing canola, it's things like to eat it, and you need to put a lot of fertiliser on it, and I prefer a more simple cropping operation. So at the moment, I just normally, we're a sheep-dominated enterprise. We have more pasture than crop, and generally pretty low inputs by district practice. So I like to keep things simple. It's just me doing the cropping, and my dad pretty well handles the sheep when I'm feeding. But it's just I need to keep things simple, otherwise I burn myself out. And competitive advantage, yeah, maybe simplicity also. You don't need to desiccate it or swath it. We hope. It worked right last year.
Yeah,
It can be
it did
direct headed.
Yeah.
So one less pass there with the boom spray or the swather, and
So you don't need anything special for the header?
no, just go straight in with a yeah, what do they call it? Open front or
Yeah.
the
That.
thing that goes like that and the knife at the bottom. So as for me, I'm just keen on seeing what it does for the benefit of the industry. It's not like I'm doing this because I want to really push my farm to the next level. Yeah. Any other questions?
I've got a question for anybody that wants to have a crack at it. Is there any medicinal advantages of this? I know there is in the seed, but what about the plant as a grazing plant?
No. Yeah, so that to the end it'll give energy to the sheep.
Yeah, right.
That's about it.
Anything green.
But the seed, omega-3s.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it's an alternative to fish oil.
You can't
Yeah.
graze it like in its growing period now either, so it must be after harvest you can graze it.
They'll
Yeah.
pull it out, will they?
No,
They love it. They absolutely love it, the sheep do, afterwards,
That's a
once you've taken off the flowers and the seed.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful. They
And
think
they
it's
do
just
all right
wonderful,
on the
sweet
stubble?
as.
But do they do all right on the stubble?
Yeah, they do.
Yep.
Yep. I've got that from Ray Harrington direct.
Yeah, so divided by 2. One of the things that I'm from Overboy out Brook, I haven't been there very long, but I've read the Flax book, and I'm sure it is copper. They reckon it was fantastic for finding out where you've got a copper deficiency. It just goes yellow.
Yeah.
Obviously you haven't got a copper deficiency here.
No.
I'm pretty sure it was copper. I was nearly swear by it, but it was a
I'll
trace
look that
on
up actually, because that's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's in
but
there.
that happens with a lot of flowers. They change colour depending on the acidity or whatever of the soil. So yeah.
It's in the Flax book. That's
Yeah.
in the museum over there.
Oh well, there you go.
It's also something that Christine Jones,
Yep.
the liquid carbon pathway thing, she strongly recommends putting it in as part of a mixed sward because it boosts everything else.
Yes.
That's all. I don't know
That's
why
exactly
or
it.
how.
Yeah.
But recently I was listening to that comment from her.
Yeah, it's one of the real reasons that we've done this, because we know that it'll give it a boost to wheat or canola or whatever you put in afterwards.
So this is actually even with it as a mixed sward.
Yeah.
With
Oh,
a
yeah.
pasture as a fodder crop.
Yeah.
Which is
Oh,
odd,
interesting.
It's got to ask me, did it?
Okay. I'll have to ask Miss
Maybe in
Christine.
small quantities.
Yeah, maybe in very small quantities, I would say. It
Well,
would have
yeah,
to
I
be.
don't
It couldn't
know
be
how-
as a full crop.
Yeah. Well, they're
Yeah.
talking a lot of mix, not 2 or 3. They're
Yeah.
talking,
Oh,
7
yeah.
upwards.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Plants. So, yeah, companion plant basically.
Yeah,
that
maybe.
boosts the rest of the lot,
Okay.
supposedly.
Yeah, we're trying not to kill anything here.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be healthy stuff.
And it has a fibrous root system too, doesn't it? Not a taproot, even though it's a dicot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that might fit in with your philosophy a bit. Another type of root, another type of plant.
Well, Ray, this is Ray again. Ray says you just take the weed harvester out there to clean your paddocks, so then you don't have any competition, and then you start with it from there, and you don't have to put as much inputs in. That's what he likes.
Say that again. You take your
You take your weed destructor out
Oh,
there,
weed
get rid of
destructor.
all the weeds. That's what he reckons. And
Yeah.
so you've got a clean paddock, and it is really competitive once you get it past a certain stage. The problem is you've got to get it past that first stage. Yeah.
Where's it native to?
I don't know. It was grown here, but no, it's not. No, I think Canada, China, Eastern Europe, they've all got it. So it's a big industry worldwide. People are definitely looking for Australian flax product. We don't grow any here in WA except for what we're doing at the moment. So it's a
We
competitive
grew it in the
advantage for us.
70s in Blair Brook.
Sorry?
Yeah, I can't remember a hell of a lot about it, but when I was young in the 70s,
Yeah.
we grew it.
It was everywhere. That's what I said. It was fibre though. And a different...
No, it was for seed.
Yeah, no, it wasn't for seed. No, there was a...
For seed.
Well, they might have done for seed, but it wasn't being sold for seed for over here anyway.
Yeah.
But there's nothing. There's just nothing here in WA. We import.
There's a
I
few
think
people have dabbled in it.
they've dabbled, yes.
Just south of,
Yeah.
I mean, up at, between Mininu and Dongra,
Yeah.
on that road there, just past the Strawberry Bridge.
Yeah.
There's a paddock on the left. I've travelled through there quite a bit in the last...
UWA did some stuff up there too.
I don't know what they actually did with it, but...
No.
Oh, yeah. It's on the left as you go on towards
Yeah.
Dongra.
I think that's the thing, is people are dabbling with it, but they haven't actually taken it the full way because it's not been a viable thing for them to do, which is why we've got to get that yield up. You know, we've got to get...
My father-in-law in Dillingar, on the Dillingar West Road, and some of that country there, you know, you wouldn't give it to your worst enemy. He tried it there, and it apparently grew okay, but I never really got exactly what okay was. It was all right.
Well, I've got to tell you, the worst one that we had, the worst trial we had was Evan Hall. He did our supply chain trial last year, and he killed it, like literally, and it still came back to give the 0.66 tonne per hectare, which is not bad.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty bloody good in a bad year. And I think, did yours yield the most last year?
Close to, but it's close to a tonne. Like
Close
maybe
to a
0.8
tonne.
or 0.9.
That's not bad either. So we've got a variety, the Bilton variety this year. It's in Tasmania has gone to I think 1.6. Mel was just telling me that in Europe it goes to 5 tonne. God, don't you wish we had that country?
Yeah, Olivia saw 2 metres deep.
Yeah, that's it.
Another thing, just for discussion, is anyone familiar with the weed lesser loose strife? No? Okay, I won't.
No.
It looks like flax, but it grows in the late spring and summer in sort of waterway, wet areas, and apparently that's toxic to stock.
Oh,
but my sheep eat it and they don't die.
Okay,
Slender
right.
ice plant.
What's that?
Slender ice plant. I don't know what its Latin name is,
Is that
but
the same
I
thing?
think it's similar, and because I know
Little purple flowers?
yeah, my family farms near Cunderdin, and it sounds very similar.
Yeah, okay.
And it's a certain time of the year, and it can kill the sheep.
Mm.
Be
Yeah.
very careful with it.
It's just how much they eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right.
All right.
Any other
Nice, who's
questions?
next?
Thanks, Pete. That's great. Any other questions? All right, just a little bit of starting an industry. I know, especially for you guys, this whole project so far has cost us $600,000. Okay, so just so you know, it's not easy to start a flax industry anywhere or any other industry anywhere. If you look at the canola industry, it took 30 years to really get off the ground. So something like this, we're only in year 2 of getting it going. We have investments from GRDC. We're working with the blockchain lab at Curtin University as well. We had a little bit of money from the state government through the RNIF funds. We've had a little bit of money from federal, so it's really taken a lot of people to get together to do this. Second year, we've still got to find the money for the third year, and we're taking our first product to market, we hope, after this season. So wish us luck on all of that. We've got an intern coming in from Curtin who's working on the marketing with us for that, so we've got to get the packaging right. Loop & Co are going to do all the processing for us. They've just got the gluten-free and celiac accreditation, which means that we can put this through as a gluten-free product, which is really important in the marketplace. It'll only go through as a seed to start with because we don't have that oil processing. We have been lobbying for co-batch facilities for some time from the state government. Hopefully that will come through sometime. Just because at the middle, it's really hard to get these sort of things started. You don't want to invest that amount of money into equipment until you know you can actually grow everything. So you've got to be really careful where you spend your money and how you spend your money. So it does take a lot, and that's like any startup business, but when you're starting a startup industry, we've got 55 farmers on our road that say they want to grow it. That's a potential 110,000 tonnes, which would absolutely wipe everything else off over in the east. So I think at the moment there's about 7,000 tonnes being produced. That's it. So if we're going to do this and do this right, and we can get up around the canola figures, that's really good for GDP for WA. So that's the aim anyway. All right, so I think you guys can go and have a look at everything if you like. You've got your little trial outlines there, and everything's labelled. So feel free to ask Mel and Sheridan, Kent and Pete any questions you like, or if you want to ask about marketing or overview of this, come see me.